proposal is really nothing but a business plan. It's a sales document. In some levels, it's a brochure for a book you haven't yet written. And when I say brochure, what I mean is that it's being used to sell your book to an agent first. Then the agent will presumably help the author polish that proposal, hone it, get it even stronger, and then that newly revised brochure goes out to the book publishers, the editors, to try to persuade them to pony up money to support this project, giving the author the time and the space and the support to actually finish the book. In addition, while that's going on, they're trying to sell that project further into their organization, into their own publisher, into their own marketing and publicity groups to get them fired up for the project. And then when the book is ready, the sales just continues where you're trying to sell it into the retailer and onto the public. So at every step, somebody is trying to help the author sell their work onto the next step in the process. And the important part about thinking about a book proposal, again, is it is a business plan. It needs to be both style and substance, describing here's what the book is going to be in a way that gets people excited. And when I say style and substance, I mean that there are two different chunks, two different sections, two different elements that every book proposal has to include. The first are the elements that are all about the literal substance of the book. A detailed table of contents, and that can be anywhere from 3 to 10 pages, literally summarizing chapter by chapter, this is what the book is going to contain. It's showing the roadmap. It's basically showing an editor, hey, you haven't finished writing the book yet, but you have a very clear picture for what the book is going to be. You may not know every element that's going to go into it, and everybody understands that between book proposal and finished book, there are always going to be some changes, but at least it shows a seriousness and a clarity of vision of the book that you want to write. And then there's almost invariably, especially for a first-time trade book author, the need for a detailed, full sample chapter. Usually better to be one of the earlier chapters so that it doesn't presume any knowledge. It's just, here's chapter 1. Not the introduction, but here's the first chapter, written the way the entire book is going to be written. So that's the substance. That shows an agent, it shows an editor, hey look, this author has his or her chops. This author really knows the book they want to write and has already proven with some shorter sections that they can deliver on what they're promising. Then wrapped around that are all of the style elements, and that is the business part of things that shows who's the author, what are their credentials, what is their platform, why is he or she the exact right person to write this book, and in fact the only person who could write this book. Another element is going to be what are the comparable titles. And I say comparable, not competitive, because in a comparable titles section, you're trying to do two things. You want to show titles that are at least tangentially related to your own, that have sold well, thinking almost like a Venn diagram. Here are books in category A, category B, category C, books written in style A, B, or C, but they're very similar to what the author is trying to do here. And yet, there is nothing at the unique intersection of those three different categories. Here's where the author's book is going to reside. Here's why a stranger might walk into a Barnes & Noble, or why they might browse at an Amazon or a BN.com and buy this particular book on this subject. Then you need a very detailed plan for how is the author going to market their book. I say with a big smile, not to insult the publishers, but you should always assume a publisher will do nothing on behalf of your book to market it, and then be pleasantly surprised when they in fact do some things. But especially after the first few months, publishers are putting out new books all the time, and they have to move their marketing efforts on to the next book. So for the long term, an author is always, always, always going to be the primary marketer and publicist for their own book. And so what you want to do in the book proposal is show these are all the ways I'm going to market my book. These are all the outlets, all the venues that a book publisher wouldn't know about already. To say we're going to go send copies to the New York Times or the Washington Post for book reviews, absolutely, that's great. But then, based upon the expertise of the author, they have to say, here are the specialized ways we can reach folks that will be particularly interested in this book. And so you add all of these elements up together, and that is the substance of the book, the style or the wrapper or the business plan elements that go around it. That makes the complete package that agents want to see and that we in turn take to publishers.